Right, 5 minutes past the top of the hour. Very, very good morning to you. This is Morning Cafe. It's a Monday. Around this particular time, we're giving you tips on first aid. Tips that you will always need to have on your daily activities, ukiwa kwa nyumba, ukiwa kwa kazi. And our conversation for today is one that definitely touches you, someone that you know. Fainting as well as seizures. Do you know those two things and their differences? Well, Andrew Njohi kutoka St. John atakuwa atuelezea. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yes.
Good to be here.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And the number to call us live, 0795 0458 64 is the number to ask those questions that you have, to give the kind of feedback that you have on probably you saw someone, mtu akifaint ama inaitwa kusiza ama ni kusija.
Kusiz. When it's happening.
Yes.
It's to seize.
To seize, yes. So they're probably fainting or they were seizing. And you didn't know what to do. You can also tell us your feedback on the same number. 2047 is our SMS number. Good to see you. Tulionana last Saturday after walkathon.
Umetulia uko sawa.
Me fresh. 21 kilometers was good.
Fiti.
Anyway, yes. So tell us the difference as you also define both of them. What is fainting? What is seizing?
Let's start with the simple one, which is fainting. Fainting, which is most common.
Or C complex.
Which is actually the most common thing, because most of the time watu wanasemaga I'm a faint. Kumbe, it's something else. So the definition of fainting is just a brief loss of consciousness due to insufficient oxygen supply to the brain, or temporary reduction of oxygen supply to the brain. So it has various causes, and most common causes include hunger. Kama uko na njaa, you can easily faint.
Well, okay.
Another cause would be if you're standing in one place for too long, without moving, without any activity, then someone can faint.
So hata hapa pali niko itabidi nitembe kiasi.
Hata hapa hivi kwanza vile umenyonga tai nini. So that standing in one place, even sitting in one place for too long, is something that could cause you to faint. Another thing that could cause you to faint is sudden sharp pain. I want you to think about it like this. Ushaigongwa kwa kichwa na kona ya dirisha?
Ndio. Hey.
So that sudden sharp pain can easily cause someone to faint. Another thing that could cause someone to faint is exhaustion. Kama mtu ametembea maybe over long distances, and ama you've been working all day without even resting, alafu the moment you want to rest, you can easily collapse. It's also common in the early stages of pregnancy for women, because of changes in hormones and such. So that happens, and by definition and by what it is about, fainting is not really a serious problem.
Okay.
It's not a serious problem because we say it's a brief loss of consciousness. In terms of brief, it should not last longer than 10 minutes.
So does it mean there's something the brain is not getting? Well,
oxygen.
Oxygen. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The brain, there is a temporary reduction of oxygen to the brain, and we've listed all the causes that could contribute to that.
So how is oxygen missing if I'm standing at ease for a long time?
If you're standing in that place for too long, so unajua pia gravity is acting on on whatever it is. So it's difficult for blood to be flowing to the brain because of things like gravity and such. So that's why you need activity. Alafu, if you're standing, it means that you're not doing a lot of activity. So the heart is actually not pumping very fast. So at some moment, that could cause you to faint. So those are some of the common things that could cause fainting. And as I've said, fainting is not as serious as other people, or as most people would want to say, because on its own, fainting should not last longer than 10 minutes. If it lasts longer than 10 minutes, then it is not fainting, it is something else.
10 minutes ni nyingi though.
Exactly. 10 minutes ni mob sana.
Yes.
Hata dakika 5 tunakuwaga mingi. If someone has been unconscious for longer than 5 minutes, you should be concerned. It is not kawaida fainting, because if you are to collapse because of for example, vile umesema you are standing in this place for too long. Ume-collapse. And the point of collapsing is so that now blood can start flowing to the brain. Si ume-collapse sasa when you're lying down,
And I think
itaanza kutembea.
Even for purposes of, even for the viewer to actually understand fully,
Yes.
I think I can call Bertha in
Yes.
to help us understand fully.
Yes.
Ndio ukisema mtu akisimama when they're lying down, you can have our fake casualty
Yes.
on set. Bertha,
Yes.
karibu sana.
Bertha, karibu.
So that ndio tusaidie kuelewa. Hi Bertha. Yes, so walk us through. She was probably standing kwa line ya nangojea gari. Mahali hapo archives. Amesimama hapo line hisongi.
Yes.
Na hiyo jua yote.
Yes.
For more than even 15 minutes.
Yes.
And then suddenly she collapsed.
Yes.
So what happens? Walk us through all that.
So Bertha tuseme anaishi hiyo maeria yenye umesema ya kupanga line. Amepanga line. What happens is that maybe there are contributing factors.
Okay.
Amechoka, she hasn't eaten, and she's been standing there for too long. So because of the aspect of not moving for a long period of time, you find that the brain is not getting enough oxygen because unaona vile amesimama.
Yeah.
So the body is just asking you need to pump more blood to the brain so that it can oxygenate vizuri. So the collapsing bit is your body telling you the brain needs more oxygen. So akianguka and uko hapo, that's when now we can start managing them. Sindio? So in the example that you have given, casualty wangu ako kwa line. Inamaanisha kuna mtu mbele yake, kuna mtu nyuma yake.
Yes.
Sindio? So if you notice that she is starting to lose consciousness, you need to shikilia her.
Okay.
Unamshikilia tu.
So it doesn't happen instant. Someone just
No.
loses conscious and then they fall.
No. It doesn't happen just instantly because ataanza tu kusway, utaona they are not what's it called? They are not steady and hata anaweza jishikilia na mtu mwenye ako mbele yake.
Mtu anaweza dhani ni mlevi.
Yes. But ukiangalia unajua mlevi you can even smell the alcohol. So hiyo ina mambo mob. The point is to help.
Yes.
The point is to help. So you will notice if you are looking at her, you will notice that enyewe she's not, maybe even she's sweating and she's not comfortable in whatever it is that how she is. So what she needs is to rest basically.
Is she able to speak at this point? In most cases.
She's there. She's able to speak. She's able to speak, but again, vile nasema ni pole pole tu it happens and suddenly they just now go down. Sindio? She's able to speak whisper.
Okay.
Because hana nguvu. Hana nguvu. Nimechoka. Kitu kama hiyo. So hana nguvu. So you want to put her down so that she can rest.
Right.
The point is to get blood flowing to the brain. Sindio? So nataka tumsaidie. Tunataka
alikuwa anapanga anaenda kupanga
namweka tu chini. Kidogo tu. Just lie down like that. Sawa. Once I lay her down, what I'm going to do is just confirm that she's not responding. Si ndio? I lay her down, Bertha nataka tu usonge hapa kidogo ndio watu wetu waweze kutuona vipoa, si ndio?
So a quick one, why are we lying her down and not sitting akae chini mahali?
We are lying her down because she's already lost consciousness.
Okay.
And
before she actually loses consciousness.
No, if she hasn't lost consciousness, we can sit her down.
Okay.
We can sit her down because she was standing. Sindio?
Okay.
But when she's about to lose consciousness, and then she's about to lose consciousness, wacha alale chini.
Okay.
Sindio? So once she loses consciousness, Bertha unafaa kuwa umefunga macho.
Amefaint na bado anakuangalia rada.
Anyway, she's a simulated casualty. So she's lying down. Because she's lying down, we want to confirm, nakumbuka tukisema for every casualty we must do a primary survey. Dr. A, B, C. Danger, response, airway, breathing, circulation. Danger here is the crowd. Try and get them away, mwambie songa kando.
Ndio apate hewa.
Ndo apate hewa nini. Si ndio? Check. Bertha, can you hear me? Bertha, can you hear me?
Akusikie.
She's not responding. Si ndio? So what I'm going to do, going to open the airway. Check if she's breathing. Yes, she is breathing. Quick check with the pulse. I will find for someone who has fainted, the pulse is a bit slow. So utapata enyewe she's fainted. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to loosen any clothing that she has.
Okay.
I'm going to try and loosen any clothing that she has so that I can try and keep her oxygenated. Nitoe belt, nifunguanishe, hata kiatu
Ufungue.
nimtoe. Kiatu nitoe. Naweza kutoa kiatu Batha. So nitoe kiatu. Si ndio? The point is to improve blood flow.
All right.
And blood flow to where?
To the brain.
To the brain.
Okay.
Sindio?
Yeah.
So with that, how you can help improve that ni tutainua miguu. Na uzishikilie tu hivyo. So that the legs are above the heart and the brain.
For how long are you doing this?
Until she regains consciousness.
Yeah.
She should regain consciousness immediately. Tunaona kama sasa ameanza kufungua macho. So when she regains consciousness, mwambie Batha, can you hear me? Unanisikia? Sawa sawa. You just collapsed kidogo. How are you feeling right now? Have you eaten? You haven't eaten? Sawa sawa. Are you on any medication? Do you have any medical condition that I should know about? You don't have? Sawa sawa. Do you remember what you were doing before this?
Yeah, I was standing in a queue to board a bus.
What have you been doing the whole day?
Walking, sitting, walking around.
You've been walking around and you haven't had time to eat. So, unaona, what I'm asking is there's something we call sample questions. Symptoms, how is she feeling now? Allergies, is she allergic to anything? Medication, is she on any medication?
Uliza pia, who is the president of Kenya? Ndio pia uone kama akisema Uhuru Kenyatta na shida.
Iko na shida, si ndio? You ask, that's why I even asked her, does she know where she is?
Yes.
Si ndio? Is she oriented to time and place? Si ndio? And then you ask about pertinent medical history and last meal, because those are contributing factors to such a condition. And then now events that led to this person heading this way. Si ndio? Once she's done, umemwongelesha, unaweza weka mguu chini. So ukishamweka mguu chini, umwambie, unaweza keti? Haya. Tunamkalisha. When we sit her down like that, you can send someone for something with sugar to drink and a soda, juice, hivi.
Why sugar?
Sugar is because we want to elevate sugar levels. Kama sahi ameniambia hajakula. So probably hiyo ndio kitu contribute to her collapse na kukosa nguvu.
Right.
So we want to elevate sugar levels. Sasa unaweza simama.
What if it's a diabetic person who maybe for them they don't really need too much sugar in their body?
They need a bit.
Okay. So there's a rationale for that.
Yes, they need a bit of sugar. So if she's diabetic, it means that her blood sugar level is low. You need to hypoglycemia. So if her blood sugar level is low, again, you have no way of knowing until she tells you.
Until she tells you.
Yes. And then you can ask her, are you able to take a bit of sugar? She can tell you yes, anaonja tu kidogo. So that you can elevate the sugar levels.
Right.
Give her energy and such.
So back to that position, you've raised the legs, but then she imepita, let's say the 10 minutes. Bado haja, there's no response.
Ikipita 10 minutes, you need to reassess. You need to reassess your casualty. Utaeka mguu chini. Alafu, you do again response, airway, breathing and circulation. If those things are, if she's still not responding but airway is clear, breathing is present and blood is pumping, so you're going to place her in the recovery position. We'll show you when we're doing the mambo ya seizures. We're going to place her in the recovery position and call for help.
All right. Right.
Because if it lasts for longer than 10 minutes, inamaanisha that's not fainting. It's not a simple thing. It's something that probably more complicated than just simple fainting. Sasa kama vile mentioned diabetic, mtu akona hypoglycemia, you might find that they may not regain consciousness immediately. If it gets to a level such as that, they may need now hospital.
Are there chances of, well, let's say just after a minute or so, she regained consciousness, but then are there chances of her recurring, the fainting recurring?
If she regains consciousness and you do all that, it shouldn't recur. If it does recur, then she may need to get professional medical help. Because, as I said, fainting on its own is something very simple. It doesn't need hospitalization. What needs hospitalization is any other thing that could cause someone to be unconscious for longer than 10 minutes.
All right. A quick one here, 22047, mtu anauliza Jemo, na mbona mtu akipata bad news kama mtu amekufa kwao, mtu ana faint?
Pia hiyo nilikuwa ni-mention hiyo. Excitement can also cause blood not to go to the brain. Hiyo excitement in terms of vile umesema bad news, even good news, extremely good news.
Manchester United imeshinda ligi.
Noma hiyo. Anytime soon. But anyway, so yes, such. Ukipata sasa vitu kama hizo, it is overwhelming. Excitement can cause someone to faint easily. So that is one of the causes. Ni vile tu ni hormones zinakuwa mingi, zina overwhelm, zina.
Then there's low oxygen in the brain.
Yes.
Right. So now even for this, because such incidences do reoccur, let's say if you'd probably be around kama ni kwa morgue, you probably see people who are mourning, the high chances of people around there, and well, mostly ladies, the high chance of fainting as well. Kama ni such a very terrific news, and well, she'd probably be she'll regain consciousness, alafu some 10 minutes later, amefaint tena.
It's because the event is still
recurring.
The event is still going on. Ni kitu tu inaendelea. So that's why unapata kuna hiyo ana faint, alafu ana regain consciousness. Bado aki regain consciousness anapata the same news, nothing has changed. That's why that is happening.
Okay. So basically, fainting is low, minimal oxygen to the brain.
Yes.
And any activity that leads to that would maybe make someone faint.
Yes.
Okay. Now you tumeelewa fainting.
Yes.
Now let's go to someone seizing and the seizures.
Yes. A seizure, the definition of a seizure is a disturbance in the brain's electrical activity. How the brain communicates with the rest of the body is through electrical impulses and such. So kuna things like neurons and such, zinakuwa na a bit of disturbance. So someone gets a seizure. The brain ceases from working. Inaacha yani kufanya kazi vile inafaa kufanya. That's what a seizure is. Now seizures are most commonly affect people with epilepsy. What we call people who get recurring seizures are epileptic. Akona epilepsy. But not every seizure means that the person is epileptic. There are other causes of seizures.
Will we need her for the seizures?
Yes. Kuoneshana vile tunafaa kuweka kichwa na vitu kama hizo. Si ndio?
Yes.
But let me just talk about it so that we can use her.
Okay.
In terms of the seizure, it can be a minor seizure or a major seizure. A minor seizure is as simple as amesimama hapa, she's staring blankly ahead. And I'm trying to call her Bertha, she's not responding. Maybe she's epileptic. If she's epileptic and gets a minor seizure, that's common. That's something that I would, that's something that I would expect. Now, with a minor seizure, it's just, you would notice it if you have, the casualty has like tics and abnormal movements, just minor abnormal movements, and a tic, and a smack lips, and such. So with that, and it lasts for a short period of time also. And when you notice that, what you need to do is get her away from a lot of people. Kama kuna watu uko place kuna watu wengi, just
like our first hypothetical, amesimama kwa line queuing to a bus anaenda Thika Road mahali,
mpeleke tu mahali quiet. Ukinotice amepata minor seizure, mpeleke tu mahali quiet, unamtoa hapo mahali kuna umati, atulie. Once she regains consciousness, just explain what happened to her. Vile tu tumefanya mtu fainting. Namwambia there is you lost consciousness kidogo, because a seizure, basically someone loses consciousness. So you lost consciousness kidogo.
Even despite them just being upstanding?
Yes.
And
yes.
Okay.
You know, our definition of consciousness is you need to be aware of your surroundings.
Oh, yeah.
So she's not aware of her surroundings,
Right.
even if she's standing. She can be even walking. That is why it is dangerous for a minor epileptic seizure, because she can be walking and she walks onto a busy road.
Yeah, true.
Alafu mambo ifanyike. So that is why your main objective when dealing with seizures, be it minor, be it major, is to keep your casualty safe. Protect them from further injury. That is one of the main objectives that you should follow.
So nilikuwa nasimama kwa line nyuma yake, tunaelekea Thika Road, and then she probably starts what you talk about. Yes, probably smacking the lips or something.
Maybe ulikuwa unamwongelesha.
Oh,
because kama uko unamwongelesha, you wouldn't notice it.
Yes.
If you're looking at her and unamwongelesha, that's when you would notice it. Ndo sasa unaona yenyewe something is not okay with her. So you can get her away from that whole crowd, somewhere too quiet, and sit her down.
So that's on the mild kind of scale.
That's on the mild
smacking. Okay. Right. So for example, standing behind her, ama mbele yake, tunapanga line queuing, we're all minding our own business, and then now, so tell us now for the extreme kind of level for seizures.
For an extreme seizure, what happens is, many times it happens in a sequence. If someone is epileptic, they will have a strange taste in their mouth. You know, it's just the brain playing tricks, or a strange smell they will smell. And within a few seconds, they can suddenly collapse. Anaweza anguka, hiyo sasa ndo inakuwaga sudden. They just collapse. And they start arcing their back, yani mgongo imejikunja, ndio sasa the convulsions zinaanza. Unapata major convulsions na muscles zina contract, zinashikana kabisa.
Okay.
So anajikunja.
Kuna caller Naomi kutoka Trans Nzoia. Naomi, good morning.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, uliza.
There is a time nilikuwa na faint. Pia kulikuwa na marafiki zangu walikuwa na faint, but nilikuwa naona daktari anakuja. At times unaona anachukua spirit na cotton anakuwekea kwa pua. So sijui hiyo iko na side effect kama ni nini, because nimeona daktari venye amefanya, but sasa mimi nilikuwa naona tukifaint unakuta daktari anakimbia na cotton na spirit. So I want the explanation, maybe kama iko na side effect.
Anaeka wapi spirit hiyo cotton?
Kwa pua, alafu anafinya.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Asante sana Naomi. An interesting one.
Yes. Again, you know, what we are discussing here is just first aid.
Yes.
So unaona yeye ametaja daktari.
Yeah. Amesema wewe ni daktari pia. Unaweza clarify hiyo watu wewe ni first aid trainer.
Yes, I'm a first aid trainer. I'm a first aid instructor, emergency medical technician. Daktari, ama hata the guys in the ambulance, there's something that they use to just, what's it called, to to help the casualty regain consciousness. So for that, you know, that's for us, for a first aid, that's medication. Okay. You wouldn't want to use medication without proper knowledge, and you don't know how it will react with this person and such.
Reminds me back in I think high school, ulikuwa naekea kitunguu ama something, something that has a very foul smell around the nose to probably help you regain consciousness.
They're trying to use the olfactory senses to try and stimulate the brain into now waking up, basically.
Right.
But we just want to keep it simple. You know, first aid is about keeping it as simple as possible.
Right. Tuko na another caller, Josephat kutoka Nairobi. Habari asubuhi Josephat.
Salama sana.
Yes, tafadhali unaweza paza sauti kidogo, alafu sijui kuna swali au kuna maoni?
Swali langu ni when mtu akiwa na hizo conversions, mbona to happen umekuwa injured?
Okay.
When you are injured,
Mute TV yako tafadhali, alafu uendelee kutuuliza swali. Okay. Yes, ukitupigia simu 0795045864 tafadhali mute your TV or have it off. Kuna haja kujisikiliza. But then it was a very interesting bit that he was getting into. Think maneno ya when you're injured and all that. I wish ningepata the whole question angeuliza, but he was getting into the angle ya maneno ya convulsions and then also getting injuries.
Yeah. When you get a convulsion, you can easily get an injury. Yes, because of, Bilatut may explain, the sequence of events. Someone suddenly collapses, no matter where they are. Anaanguka, anaweza jigonga kichwa, anaweza jikata, anaangukia glass, that happens.
So for example, for our case hapa, ndio pia, unajua tumesema mtu akisimama sana hivyo, bila activity kidogo itakuwa tricky. So let's say for our case here, Batha, so tunaweza, getting back to the position that she was in, alikuwa faint, probably
so
having convulsions.
So tukamweka chini.
Yes.
It's the same sequence, even for someone who was having a convulsion.
Yes.
You help them down, so that they don't injure themselves as they go down.
But then let's say, for example, she actually, maybe akuwa na watu wengi around there. I'm a baby because, I mean, this is, let's say it's in a public area. And typically, human beings, kwa Nairobi pale mtu akifaint, unasonga nyuma kwanza, huyu shida yake ni nini?
Yes.
And then in the process, she hits her head on the ground hapo Nairobi.
Yeah.
Do you check on that? Probably because maybe hata kuna damu. Help us understand the whole injuries bit.
Yes. Now, as I was saying, the sequence of events in a seizure,
Dr. ABC.
Once she collapses, she has convulsions. The convulsions ni muscular contractions.
So
they're involuntary.
No, this is for seizures.
Okay. For seizures. This is involuntary. So if she's having contractions or muscular contractions, what you want to do, unaona vile tulifanya ya fainting, tumetoa viatu, tumeloosen any tight clothing, so that you can improve circulation. So tunamwacha. Let the convulsion end. Wacha convulsion iishe. Don't try to what's it called, kumshikilia. Don't try to restrain your casualty. If you try to restrain your casualty, you run a risk of now causing those injuries you're talking about, of breaking bones and such. So don't, because it's involuntary. Si kitu ati anaweza control. They cannot control it. So let the convulsion end.
So that means there's no bit of even raising her leg.
What you're going to do is place something soft under her head. If you have something soft, shati, scarf, whatever, just place it under her head. That's how. Convulsion ikishaisha, what you're going to do now, again, Dr. ABC tena. Izo lazima. We want to ensure that you follow process and confirm, because ABC is about life-threatening problems. If she had stopped breathing, you need to deal with that. Unafanya CPR. That is why you're confirming mambo ya Dr. ABC. So, ukisha check response, she's not responding. Convulsion imeisha sasa, si ndio?
How long does it take roughly?
Maybe 2 minutes. 2-3 minutes. It doesn't last long. Actually, even 2 minutes is long. We say if a convulsion lasts longer than 5 minutes, then we are in trouble. Because a convulsion or a seizure, wacha ni juu hiyo ndo wadu tumekuwa tukitumia. A convulsion, seizure, whatever. A convulsion is affects breathing. It affects breathing.
Right.
So if it lasts longer than 5 minutes, unaona sasa may affect breathing for 5 minutes. That is a problem that needs to be dealt with.
Right. So walk us through that before I ask you more questions on that.
Okay. So my casualty, I open the airway, check breathing. Breathing is present. Quickly check circulation. Circulation iko sawa.
So yeye amemaliza kuconvulse, unaona ndio amerest ni kama ako.
Amemaliza kuconvulse. Usually pia convulsion unaona anatoga pofu, anatoga froth from the mouth. So pia hiyo unaweza wipe tu hapo hivyo. And then
help us understand that bit though, because I think that's
just saliva. Because when someone is having a convulsion, their teeth clench shut. Alafu pia the tongue is also a muscle. It is convulsing pia.
Okay. Naambia tuko na Naomi amerudi kutoka Trans Nzoia. Naomi, habari asubuhi tena?
Mzuri sana. Kuna swali ningependa kuuliza.
Yes.
For example, unakuta kuna watu pika kwa jiko la makaa na maybe wamesuffocate, mtu amefaint. So first aid ya mtu kama huyu inaweza kuwa aje? Cause unapata mtu amefaint na ameanza pia kutoa maybe pofu kwa mdomo.
Okay.
So sijui first aid ya mtu kama huyu inafaa kufanywa aje?
Okay.
Due to carbon.
Okay, right. Thank you very much Naomi. Salimia sana watu wa Trans Nzoia. Unaweza mjibu hiyo maneno ya CO carbon monoxide nini and the whole suffocation. Yes.
Maybe I would like to make it clear when someone inhales carbon monoxide or any other gases and it causes them to lose consciousness, hiyo ni an inhaled poisonous substance that has caused them to lose consciousness. They have not fainted. Okay. That's just poisoning in terms of inhalation, one of the methods. And what she has mentioned is that poisoning is also one of the things that could cause someone to get a seizure. That's why anasema mambo ya pofu na nini. It is because poisoning is one of the things that could cause someone to get a seizure. So huyo haja faint amepata seizure.
And I think she was getting to now the next question, because you had mentioned epilepsy, someone who probably is epileptic, but then now for someone who has never had epilepsy in the medical history, what are the chances of them seizing?
Again, poisoning is one of the causes of seizure. Head injury, a stroke can cause someone to get a seizure. And even things like brain tumors and such can cause seizures.
Right.
Even extreme blood sugar levels, hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia, occasionally may cause someone to get a seizure.
A seizure, okay.
And infections such as meningitis could cause, often cause seizures.
Right. So back to a casualty.
Yeah.
Naendelea assess.
So tukiassess huyu casualty, tulikuwa tushamaliza the primary assessment ya Dr. ABC.
Yeah.
Now remember, this casualty fell to the ground. She might have injured herself, or even she was convulsing, and while convulsing, she might have injured herself. If she's unresponsive, she won't be able to tell you, I'm feeling pain here. You have to look for injuries. So you're going to do a quick head-to-toe assessment as you check the ears, you check for any broken bones, check for any injuries to bleeding in terms of all that. Ukishamaliza hizo vitu zote and you find no injuries, then we are going to place her in the recovery position. So recovery position, chukua hii mkono niweke hata right angle like that. Alafu hii mguu ni kunje hivyo. This other hand, I place it next to her cheek and then I turn my casualty like that.
Okay.
Tengeneza mguu vizuri, make sure that the airway is clear, and I keep assessing breathing, airway, and of course call for help.
Right. What is the purpose of now changing into this position that she is in right now?
The recovery position is to maintain an open airway. If you leave her on her back, you run the risk of having a blocked airway with the tongue falling back. So we want to turn her like this, because in case even there are fluids coming from the mouth, you're able to do what? They're able to drain out.
Okay, right. So fluids, you've mentioned the saliva. There's also chances of blood in case this person amejiuma, ulimi.
Yeah, so you'd want it to drain out so that it doesn't choke.
Right. This reminds me of a popular musician, Prezo.
Yes.
Something happened akiwa kwa a particular event, and people saying probably fainted, he seizing, and what really sparked even kindness was how the kind of response that was there.
Yes. First of all, from whatever I saw, he was having a seizure. He was having a seizure. He hadn't fainted. Faint. He hadn't fainted. He was having a seizure just from observing the clip. And then, what ought you do for this casualty is do not put anything in the mouth. Niliona watu wakiweka sijui vidole, bairo kwa mdomo. Wanakuwaga na ile mentality ama myth ya kusema that the casualty will bite their tongue.
Yeah.
If they do bite their tongue, it's not as dangerous as you trying to put something in the mouth. Because when you try to force something in the mouth when someone is having a seizure, what you're going to do is you're going to cause more injury. You can even break a tooth, and you can even cause them to block their airway. So sijui tunaweza release huyu pia.
Oh yes.
Chukua tu viatu.
Thank you very much, Bertha. Oh yes. So even as you continue telling us kind of differences, if probably just looking at this casualty, the kind of differences that might really be actually even for similarities, because you really touched on the differences.
Yes.
Kind of similarities that can really be on both fainting as well as seizing.
Some of the similarities are sudden collapse. Someone can just fall suddenly. Those are some of the similarities. And of course, there is the sweating bit. When someone is having a seizure and someone has fainted, there's also sweating. But beyond that, hakuna similarities mob. You will immediately tell the difference between someone who is having a seizure and someone who has fainted. If you're observing, haja faint. Kama unaona pofu ikitoka na unaona the muscles are rigid, they're contracting, that person is having a seizure. So manage that as a seizure.
Right.
I've mentioned do not restrain your casualty. When they're having a seizure, do not restrain your casualty. Do not put anything in their mouth when they're having a seizure. You run the risk of causing further injury, further harm to your casualty. Again, do not try to lift your casualty from where they are when they're having a seizure. Don't do that. Let the convulsions end. Yes.
However much dangerous it can be even for them, kujuma nini, kicking, probably even injuring themselves.
If the area that they are in, what you can do is try to clear the area from anything that could cause harm to them and cause injury to them. Try and clear anything, kama ni mawe, kama ni viti, anything that could fall on your casualty, try and clear it. And then, once the seizures end, vile tu tumefanya. Assess if there are other injuries. If someone is bleeding, take care of the bleeding. If someone has a fracture, take care of the fracture. Place them in the recovery position. Usually, when they recover, if someone is having a seizure na ikiisha, they need a bit of what's it called, encouragement. Unanitu kumuongelesha, and they don't need that crowding.
Let's say, for example, because let's say the hypothetical that we're using is this person, the first one we're using is this person is in a public space and outdoor. But then if it was in an indoor space and let's say if in a bus or a matatu, it's quite crowded. So this means this person starts seizing and even the space around this person is very minimal. So there's hakuna ile time ya kwanza kumtoa nje ya matatu ama ni bus so that they can actually, let's say, finish the convulsions.
Yes.
I mean, you're saying let them finish the convulsions. So what happens in this case? Hii matatu iko along Thika Road, kama ni jam imeshikana ama the driver is in a very high speed.
Now, if you're the person seated next to them, in that position, just try and keep them safe with whatever position that they are. Si amekaa kwa kiti. Wacha tu usije, just protect their head from hitting anything and try and loosen any tight clothing that they may have on them, and then just protect them in that position that they will be in.
Without actually restraining them.
Without restraining them. Maybe umeshika tu kichwa ndo wasigonge mahali. Maybe kama ni dirisha ama something. And then encourage other commuters to open windows and such for air. Fresh air is always good. So open windows so that they can be able to do what? To get more oxygen into their body. Once the seizure ends, ndio sasa unajua most of the time si lazima hata aende unconscious. They can regain consciousness. You just need to explain to them that you had a seizure. If it is someone with epilepsy, they know that they do get seizures. But if it is the first time, they may need to go. You may advise them they need to go to a hospital.
Right. So the fact that you've walked us through both of them, and it's a perfect time for you to call us live, 0795 045 864, and ask Wanjohi all those questions. Probably, ushajipata kwa your experience, or probably you yourself, you've either fainted or you've ever seized. And there's probably a whole different kind of experience around you. You can also share with us on all that. Ulikuwa mention about matters poisoning and all that. And because Naomi was talking about, let's say, carbon monoxide,
Yes.
mtu let's say anawak mahali, probably in a factory and all that. But then let's just bring it down to even in a domestic kind of a space. Can there be the kind of mild, the normal things that are around us that can actually lead to the poisoning of the same that can actually now lead to seizing?
Yes, any type of poisoning. Our poison enters our body in 5 ways. Through inhaling, as Naomi had mentioned, absorption through the skin when you come into contact with something, when you swallow something, hiyo ni chakula mostly, when it is injected into your body, and when it is splashed into your eye.
Right. Hold that bit there.
Yes.
Wacha tusikie Cynthia kutoka Kirinyaga. Anasemaje? Cynthia, habari asubuhi.
Sana.
Yes, thank you for calling us this morning. Uko na swali au maoni?
Niko na swali.
Yes, uliza.
I have a sister who gets those seizures. Yeah, but akizipata huwa anaruka juu, anaanza kuita majina tena anakauka. Yeah, so niko nauliza for such a person mwenye bado anaongea yes but amekauka akikuangalia elewi anything. So what can you do about such a person?
Okay. Njohu, umepata
Yeah.
swali?
Yes, nimepata.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
is it correct for someone kumgonga ama what do you do?
Okay. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Cynthia. Salimia sana watu wa Kirinyaga.
Sawa.
All right. A very interesting question there.
Yes. For what she has described is a sort of minor seizure because anasema bado anaongea. So if there's no that violent contractions, what you just need to do is keep your casualty safe. Try and keep the environment as clear as possible. And then hiyo kumgonga gonga asimgonga gonge. It's not sikuwa naelewa hiyo kumgonga gonga ni kumgonga aje. But usigonge mtu. Just let the convulsion end. Una need to observe. Maybe what you need to take into account is the time it started. When did the convulsion start? So that you can time it. Uone, hii convulsion imekaa sana. So if you can time it, this convulsion has started maybe a minute ago. Time, how long does it take to stop? Ikiisha, then you know that if it is below 5 minutes, then it's not so bad again. But ukiona, if they are recurring kama yeye anasema, anapataga convulsion mara mob, you need to understand how often do they get convulsions? Is there any medication? They need to go to a healthcare professional, need to go to a doctor so that wapate professional medical advice on how to manage the seizures. You know, even people with epilepsy, the epilepsy won't go away. It's something that they were born with, most of them, people who get epilepsy. They were born with it, so they do have medication to reduce the regularity of the seizures. And that is on advice of their doctor. And I need kuana a way in which that they manage the regularity of the seizures. And there are triggers. And I need to understand what are the triggers.
Right. What typically are the triggers? I mean, the ones that I think you know, let's say too much light,
Yes.
the blinking of lights. Any others that you could?
The blinking lights are common triggers of seizures. Even excitement could trigger a seizure.
Okay.
Again, a blow to the head could trigger a seizure. Even low blood sugar. If someone is epileptic and they haven't eaten, sometimes they may get a seizure.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Remember the number to call us live, 0795 045 864. Keep those questions for Njohi coming as we talk about matters fainting as well as seizures. Do you have one of your loved ones? Ama wewe tu mwenyewe, you probably experienced that and you'd like to know what is a first aid, or you're just a concerned Kenyan and you'd like to know how do I do first aid for someone who has fainted ama amepata seizures. So before she had called, you're talking to us about
Poisoning.
Yeah, the poisoning.
As a cause for seizures.
Yes.
And we've said that there are 5 ways in which it gets into the body. Once it gets into the body, how does it react? You know, the poisoning is basically just something causing harm to your body when it gets into your body. So a seizure is one of the violent reactions of a poison. It's one of the major reactions of her. If it gets to a point where you're having a seizure because of poisoning, you need urgent medical attention.
Right.
Yes.
Ambia tuko na nani kutoka Githurai? Penina kutoka Githurai. Penina, habari asubuhi.
Hi,
Hi, how are you doing this morning, Penina?
habari ya asubuhi.
Yes, sisi tuko salama hapa kwa studio.
Hapa sisi tuko sawa. Sasa yangu
Yes.
mimi ishainishika nikiwa nimelala. Then when nikapata my husband wananijaribu kunipanguza mate, nikawauliza what happened, akaniambia I shouted and then nikanyamaza. Then the second time nikanipata nikiwa kwa church.
Okay.
I just saw darkness.
All right.
And then I don't know how, sijui venye nilifikiria kuamka, then nikajipata nimeanguka chini. Sasa swali yangu ni venye nikianguka sasa, after kujisikia kwanza, kitu ya kwanza sikumbukangi penye niko.
Okay.
Then muscles zinaniuma sana, muscles za mikono, za miguu, na nakuanga nimejiuma mpaka ulimi. Sasa nilikuwa nataka tu kuuliza, is that seizure? Hiyo ni inaweza kuwa ni hiyo seizure. Na then kuna venye daktari alinituma nifanyiwe ECG ya kichwa.
Right.
Na hakuna kitu ilipatikana.
Okay.
Wakanipea medication, lakini hizo dawa zilikuwa ni za kama za kuzuia kuanguka. So nilikuwa nataka tu nielezee nini nafanya. Nasikianga hiyo harufu, anasema harufu sijawahi kuzisikia. Nasikia tu harufu, then darkness, na hivyo tu inaenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Asante sana Penina.
Okay.
Thank you for calling us this morning. Yes.
What she's described is an actual epileptic seizure. Because vile anasema anasikia tu kitu inanuka. I think that's what she's mentioned. Sindio? Something inanukia and sudden darkness. Darkness is just loss of consciousness. Lose consciousness and collapse. And they get now those muscular contractions. That sequence of events that she has described is an epileptic seizure. But anasema ameenda kwa hospitali and they didn't find anything. Maybe she needs to get again to get a second opinion or something, because whatever she's described is exactly like an epileptic seizure.
Right. And in your experience, how much of awareness does this person have in their environment? As much as, yes, I may lose consciousness, but then are they really aware at that point of what's happening around them, or they're just totally, when they're actually convulsing? To some degree, are they aware?
They are not aware. They are not aware at all.
Totally.
Yes. Even for a minor seizure, achana na convulsions, even for a minor seizure, they are not aware of what happens. There's one of our students who was explaining to us that even in class, when she was in high school, she used to get minor seizures. Akiwa kwa shule, when maybe mwalimu ana dictate notes, apate minor seizure, najua akili inaenda blank, so she stops writing where she has left, where she gets the seizure. And then ikiisha, because it doesn't last long, ikiisha, and she regains consciousness, she looks around, no one noticed that she got a seizure. Mwalimu maybe alikuwa anaendelea tu kudictate notes, yeye ataendelea tu kuandika mahali aliachia. So at the end of the term, anapata
kuna missing notes.
The content doesn't make sense to her because hii inashikanishwa aje na hii, because probably she used to get seizures during class time and even exam time. Anapata a minor seizure, exam that is supposed to take 2 hours, unapata she's able to answer only maybe 3 questions or 4 questions, and that was a major issue. So that's why your awareness, what people with epilepsy and who get seizures is important, especially in schools and such, so that even teachers can understand that some of these are special needs students that need special attention.
Isikaini kama mtu amelala class.
Yes, isikaini kama mtu amelala class. Anaanguka exam na si makosa yake. She actually pays attention. It's just that she has a medical condition that prevents her from having what's it called, a regular or like a normal experience with the other students.
Right. So even for, as we wrap it up,
yes,
something, a takeaway home, something that someone can know on the first aid for fainting as well as seizures, even as you give us the contacts in case someone now wants to know more details on this.
So on first aid for fainting, you just need to loosen clothing, improve blood flow to the brain. It shouldn't last for a long time. That's your main aim. For a seizure, again, your priority is to protect your casualty, ensure that no further harm comes to them or further injury comes to them, and then of course call for help.
Right.
That's basically it, and you will tell the difference, because when someone is having a seizure, there are contractions, a major seizure.
Right.
So on contacts,
Yes.
St. John emergency number is 0721 225 285. 0721 225 285. The
Right.
person who answers that phone is an emergency medical technician. If you need first aid advice, they can actually even give it to you.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Andrew Njohi. Toka St. John Ambulance, and thank you also for all the calls that tumepata, kina Penina, kina Naomi, every single person, kina Japheth. Thank you for calling this particular and even for the previous hour, even for the State of the Nation. This is how we do it every single Monday to Friday on State of the Nation with yours truly, Stanley Nyeringita, as well as Fred Indimuli, on behalf of the entire team that made this production possible. Have yourself a marvelous Monday morning. Tunane kesho for a terrific Tuesday. Goodbye.